Welcome back to the webcast, All Sports One Web. Thursday, August 22nd, we had a fantastic match week one in the Premier League, and today we got Jacob with me doing match week two predictions. Jacob, how you doing?
Let's do it, man.
Let's go. All right, we'll just start off here. Brighton at home at the Amex against Manchester United. Xerxes with the winner last week against Fulham at home at Old Trafford for Manchester United now has the same amount of goals as Anthony in the United uniform, which is fantastic already on his debut. Can United get all 3 points for you as they go to the Amex?
Yeah, so lots of really close matches, I think, this weekend. A lot of ones that are pretty hard to call. I can see a lot of them going any which way. Brighton at home, the first game at the Amex this season, is going to be a lot more challenging for United. Brighton obviously coming off that big 3-0 win to put them on top of the table. Matoma looks absolutely amazing down the wing. You forget he only played half the games last year, and when he's on the field, their offense, their attack looks so much stronger. Maybe Brighton's trying to poach McTominay. I think that would help their midfield a lot. They should definitely try to sign him. United getting that late goal. I thought Xerxes mishit it, but he actually got pretty good contact. It was a solid goal. Lisandro Martinez being back for United is a huge plus. He looked so solid. He's a short guy, but he's such a solid center back. I think this is going to be a draw. I think both teams are liable for a defensive mistake, and I don't see this being a scoreless draw. Each team will score, but I think it'll be like a 1-1 or a 2-2.
Yeah, let's rewind a little bit. Poaching McTominay, I think, is a little bit harsh, a little too much praise for him. For some reason, he did score a lot in the United jersey, but I don't think that's going to translate very well. I will go with the draw as well.
Gross and Caicedo with somebody, and they haven't done that yet. So
true.
I agree that it would be a step down from both those players, but they got to get somebody. And honestly, last week Everton could have easily gotten a couple goals. They just did not convert, and the 3-0 win flattered Brighton. But yeah, I see your point.
Yeah, and United, I think Lisandro Martinez has to be, long term is going to be one of those two center backs. He started off as left back, especially in the Community Shield. He sat down Adama Traore a lot in that game, which was absolutely fantastic. But they need to figure out. We'll see if the Ligt gets more minutes here in this one. But I like a draw as well. Tottenham only managed a draw against promoted side Leicester last week. A great first half performance, really bossing the game, but couldn't get that lead to kind of kill off Leicester. And Jamie Vardy had a Red Bull at halftime, so you knew it was coming. 12 minutes in the second half, he gets the goal. He gets subbed off by pointing at the badge and saying that he's won a Premier League and Tottenham has never come close. Absolutely fantastic. And they go off with a 1-1 draw. Tottenham at home, maybe a different animal. Pedro Porro getting on the score sheet again. He continues his fine form from the end of last season. Everton off that beating, like you mentioned, maybe didn't deserve a 3-0, but for me, I got Tottenham comfortably over Everton in this one.
Yeah, so I agree with what you said. Tottenham definitely bossed the game against Leicester. I think they got complacent and thought they were just going to cruise to a win. And Jamie Vardy said, "I'm back, baby." We'll talk more about him later. God, how can you not love that guy? The shithouse top class. Yeah, Solanke definitely had a few chances. He should have had his first goal in a Spurs shirt, but maybe this weekend I could definitely see it happening. He looks solid. His link-up plays very good. He's going to get opportunities with Son and Madison providing with him, like we said last week. Bentancur came off with a concussion. We'll see if he's fit. They'll definitely need him this weekend. Everton has an absolute crisis, though. Their right back position is just the Bermuda Triangle. Ashley Young played dreadfully bad. The red card is a blessing in disguise. They're in a crisis, but the red card is a good thing. It forced them to have to address their right back situation. They're looking to put a bid in for Alisson Santana, 18-year-old from Brazilian team, Atletico Mineiro. He's really an attacking mid, but he's played his 4 senior games as right back. They need someone to come in. Mason Holgate got booed when he came on the other day. If Dyche doesn't want to play 3 in the back, they're going to have to sign someone quick. I think Son is going to have his way down the left against the empty right back spot. I've got Tottenham winning this game pretty handily. Solanke will get on the board.
Yes, and another team that has great winger play is Crystal Palace. But before we get into the Crystal Palace West Ham game, we have to talk about that free kick. Actually 3 minutes earlier, he had a free kick right outside the box, puts it just past the post. But then he has a free kick about 25, 30 yards out, puts it top corner.
Angle. Such a good shot.
But
you hate to see that, man.
It absolutely terrible refereeing. I went back and rewatched it because they blow the whistle, they call for a foul in the box. 1, it wasn't even a foul, let alone a foul on a Crystal Palace player. But 2, he blows the whistle after the ball has already been kicked. And so why aren't you just letting the play complete like you're even supposed to allow review of the goal to see if you can deny it for a free kick going the other direction? Absolutely terrible refereeing, in my opinion. Yeah. Takes away a great goal from Eze, takes away a important goal in the match. A couple minutes later, you got Brentford scoring. Yeah, and so Crystal Palace goes ahead and loses that game. They go back home here where they take out West Ham, who, if you watch that Villa West Ham game last week, for me, it was a little bit too open in the midfield. We talked about those changes in the central of the park for both teams, but even especially Villa. And it's just really back and forth and open. West Ham maybe had a little bit more control in the beginning, but Villa grew into the game and were able to kind of keep the lead and get the winner there. I like Palace here at home, kind of a little bit of a revenge from last week, and also with West Ham being a little bit open. How do you see this one go?
Yeah, so this is a hard one to call, and the biggest reason I think is because Crystal Palace is a super strong home team. I think West Ham put up a decent fight against Villa. I think Villa definitely deserved the win. Luckily, Paqueta doesn't seem to be too affected by the betting allegations, and he had a super solid game. Some of those passes just over the top of the defender, just perfectly float down. Just amazing player. Fulkrug got his debut, only played about 20 minutes. Anthony's getting older. We'll love to see Fulkrug warm into that position. I think he could be really good for West Ham. I love that signing. I'd be happy with a draw here. If you're strong on a Crystal Palace win, then I'm happy with that as well. It's a tough game to call.
Yeah, I like Crystal Palace at home. I think Eze go ahead and get on the score sheet, and we'll see if West Ham can last and pull one out, maybe get a draw. But I like maybe a 1-0 win here for Crystal Palace. Southampton looking to get on the board here after a really tight game with Newcastle out at St. James's Park as they return to the South Coast to host their first game of the Premier League season. They take on maybe relegation battlers Nottingham Forest. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, so Southampton coming off that 1-0 loss, as you said, to Newcastle. A lot of people are saying, like, oh, Southampton, like, they had a lot of chances. Like, they easily could have got some points, and they could have. But you play a player up for an hour and you don't score. Like, I'm sorry, Southampton, you're newly promoted, but I have no sympathy for you. You have to capitalize that. I know Newcastle is a super strong opponent, and you're playing at St. James's Park. All right, away, but you gotta capitalize on that. Brighton Diaz made himself a lot of enemies the other day at St. James's Park. Some dreadful acting, another horrible decision. That's not a red card in any realm of the imagination. Brighton Diaz, shame on you, but you helped your team out. Didn't manage to amount to anything. I think St. Mary's will be absolutely rocking back in the Premier League. Nottingham Forest coming off the 1-1 draw against Bournemouth. They had that horrible injury to Danilo. Hope he recovers okay. That did not look good. I like Southampton winning this one at home, though.
Yeah, I can see it. I'll go Southampton as well. These are the games that you're going to need to win in order to push for survival in the Premier League. I think we have a kind of growing disparity from the top to the bottom. And so games like this are the ones that you're going to have to win. Opening game at St. Mary's in a couple of years. So I agree. Let's go Southampton there. Fulham, Craven Cottage, is always going to be rocking. They welcome in Leicester in a game that, both are going to want to get some points with. Leicester, a great 1-1 draw against Tottenham. If they can get another point here against Fulham, that will go a long way. I see this one as a draw. What say you?
Yeah, I agree. This has draw written all over it. Leicester, what an amazing result. Can we talk more about Jamie Vardy? Jamie Vardy's already having a party. He lasted about 80 minutes in his return to the Premier League, got a great goal. You can't leave a player like Jamie Vardy that wide open. Fulham, good signing in Sander Berg from Burnley to fill that Palhinha spot. A lot of Fulham supporters, I think, wanted to sign Scott McTominay or Calvin Phillips. I think in some ways this signing is better than a guy like Calvin Phillips. Sandberg played 37 matches last year in the Premier League for Burnley. He's got a lot of Premier League experience, a lot of recent Premier League experience anyway. They really needed to fill that CDM hole. I think that I could see this being a 0-0 game. I'm happy with a draw.
Nice. Team that I don't think anyone will have this next game as a draw. Manchester City return home. Possible Gundogan return announcement, maybe presentation at the Etihad as well. Ipswich Town, obviously, they're going to be. They said it right before the season started. Their main aim here is to win the games in and around them, or the teams in and around them. Games like this at the Etihad, their opening game for Manchester City of the Premier League season, not one that they're aiming to win. And I think Haaland a hat trick is more likely than not in this one. Any problem with Ed Sheeran's team coming to the Etihad on this weekend?
No, I think Manchester City will be okay against big old Ed Sheeran. City did lose 3 out of 4 games last season that Rodri did not play. He picked up that knock, obviously, in the Euro final, came off at halftime. I think he's recovered at this point, but I don't think he's going to be fit to play meaningful minutes in this match, which is always scary. Luckily, Kovacic had a solid game against Chelsea. Rodri, though, arguably best player in the Premier League. There's no filling that hole. Ipswich Town, really rough start to the season. They played Liverpool, and now they're playing City. Like, that's about as hard as it gets back in the Premier League. Calvin Phillips on loan from City did not play against Liverpool, and he's going to have to ride the bench again. Can't play against the team that loaned you. I think he definitely would help them here. I think City has an easy win here.
Yeah, nothing but a City win in that one. This one, Villa took all 6 points last year against Arsenal. They're at home. For this one, can they make it 3 from 3?
This is probably the most exciting game of the weekend. Villa at home is a force. Arsenal looks super solid. Havertz shutting everyone up. They don't need to sign a striker. I'm here starting off the season running. Saka starting the season flying, also with a goal and an assist. Very comfortable win against Wolves. Aston Villa, you mentioned that Douglas Luiz hole last week in our video, and they didn't hold as much possession against West Ham as they did last season. I think they're really missing that just solid guy in the middle of the park just to keep everything calm. Amadou, my name is not Andre Onana, with a solid debut, though, scoring a free header in the opening minutes. he had a solid game. I think Douglas Luiz was a little bit better for them at this point, but who knows? Maybe he'll Onana or will warm up in that role. Again, I can see this going anyway. I think Arsenal looks a little bit stronger to start the season. I think Aston Villa has some work to do to get the team back into running form in the Premier League, even though they're coming off the win. I like Arsenal slightly here.
Yeah, I think the defense, I'm going to be shouting this all year long. Arsenal's back line is the best in the Premier League. It's going to be tough to get goals against them. Onana, great header last week for West Ham to get on the board. He provides height to a team that isn't necessarily that tall from the midfield onward. So that's nice. He's going to have issue, though, with that Arsenal back line. We'll see, if the others on Villa can keep it rolling, but I like Arsenal in a 1-2-0 win, even at Villa. A revenge from last year. Newcastle squeaking by last week with 10 men. They travel to Bournemouth. You got 3 points for Newcastle in this one as well?
Yeah, 100%. Bournemouth coming off the 1-1 draw. Definitely missing Solanke. They just signed 24-year-old Evanilson, club record signing, Brazilian forward from Porto. He had 13 goals in 27 games last year for Porto. Very good signing. Obviously, they're begging for a striker. He's a little bit shorter than Solanke, but size, and I think it's a good signing for them. Nice young talent. Newcastle, Fabian Schär has got to be frustrated by that red card. I still can't believe they gave that as a red card. It's only been
Terrible.
1 week, and there's already been so many egregious refereeing decisions. Yeah. The whole VAR, just side with the ref and don't intervene. I don't really understand what they're trying to do with that. Some people like it because it's just going back to old ways. I think this is a step backwards. We'll see how it continues. It's not going well right now, though.
I don't understand it. I don't get it. I like it because it can get rid of softer penalties. They're trying to get away from softer penalties. They're trying to not overturn ref decisions as long as they're going to keep the decision on the field unless it's, egregious, which we've seen in other sports like the NFL, things like that. But VAR is there to correct bad decisions. Can you just use it to do that? Why do we have to make it so complicated? Review the decision. If it's wrong, correct it. That's it. You don't need to have some kind of subjective barrier. I don't understand it. They're making it so difficult in the Premier League, and they're just making it worse and worse. The 2 calls, the Eze free kick, the Schär red card, absolutely terrible last weekend. They're going to need to correct it. I hope they do, but we'll see. We will see. I agree. Joe Linton continuing his fine form as well. So I like Newcastle 3 points there against Bournemouth. Chelsea and Wolves. So for those who missed the Chelsea game today in the Europa Conference League qualifiers, have you ever heard of the team Servette, Jacob?
I can't say that.
Ring a bell for you? Can you tell me what league they play in? Can you tell me anything about them? No, you can't, because nobody can, because they lost 6-0 to Basel a couple weeks ago, and they're terrible. Chelsea scraped through today. Poor performance. They get the 2 goals there at Stamford Bridge to get the first leg win. They'll travel to Switzerland for the second league game. But can somebody explain to me how he's 18 years old, 19 years old? I'll give him a pass. But how do you miss this? How do you miss this? And if you had to guess how he missed this, how would you guess? Kicks it over, hits it wide. No, from this position, he hits the goalkeeper in the middle of the 6-yard box. And I don't even know how that's possible. I don't even know how he did that. It is absolutely incredible. I'll give him a little bit of a pass.
Was it on target?
To be honest with you, it might have creeped into the post, inside of the post, but it's not looking. I don't even know if he hit it enough power to make it to the line, to be honest with you. Absolutely. Yeah, and that's the thing. You put Jackson up there. We'll see. Lukaku is supposed to be going to Napoli. We'll see if Osman comes the other way. But anyway, that was the least of Chelsea's problems. And we've been saying it all preseason, the beginning of this season so far. Badishiel cannot make a 5-yard pass. He will never be able to make a 5-yard pass. Why he is here instead of Trevor Chalobah is beyond me. I will not comprehend it. The dismissal of Gallagher, the dismissal of Chilwell, the dismissal of Sterling, the dismissal of Trevor Chalobah has been kind of brutal. It's, Chelsea's trying to set this policy of the way that Enzo Maresca wants to play. Well, he wants a certain profile of player. Badishiel doesn't deserve to be playing at any team in the Premier League, so I don't understand why he is still here, especially when you had Trevor Chalobah in the mix and you have the other center backs. I don't know why he's playing at all, but all 3 points there. A poor performance against City in terms of 90 minutes. And City's team, to be honest with you, last week, a B- team, maybe? No, definitely not a full A team when you're missing the likes of Rodri. Julian Alvarez is gone now. Kyle Walker didn't play. Phil Foden got subbed on. Savinho played fantastic, gets hurt. City has a long way to go to get to their full form. So Chelsea playing against the Wolves here this week at Molineux. They're going to concede. I'm going 1-1 draw here, but I think Chelsea are in trouble.
You're being too harsh on your team, man. I think Wolves they just have lost all their bite with Neto, and luckily Neto's on your squad now. I think, they need to get Hwang Hee-chan more involved, and Cunha. They just weren't on the ball enough. They did not look like scoring against Arsenal. I don't see them scoring against Chelsea. I think, like I said, you're being a little bit too tough on your team. Chelsea had a lot of very close chances against City. They easily could have scored in that game. I think they win this one. I'll let you pick draw if you feel strongly about it. That guy's not going to play, okay?
Yeah. I'm going draw on this one. I think, we started last season not in great form. We kept expecting to turn the tide. I think we're going to have a similar first half of the season this year where we're just going to drop points when we shouldn't be. Liverpool, on the other hand, I got all 3 points as they host Brentford. Ivan Toney saga continues. We'll see what happens there if he gets named into the squad here at Anfield. So give me Liverpool, all 3 points.
Yeah, Ivan Toney's not going to play. He's going to Saudi Arabia, buying some warmer clothes. He's gonna.
I gamble there. Let's see what happens.
At 28 years old, he's gonna make some nice money in the Saudi Pro League. You can't really blame him. He hasn't been in the Premier League so long in his career. He hasn't had that big payout. So good for him and his family if he chooses to do that. We'll definitely miss a personality like Tony in the Premier League. Brentford coming off that narrow win probably should have been a draw. Liverpool looked pretty comfortable against Ipswich once they finally scored after about an hour. I really like what Arne Slot's doing with Jota, just not off the bench, just immediately in that false 9 role, keeping Darwin Núñez and Gakpo on the bench for most of the game. Gakpo obviously subbed on. Salah joining Welbeck and Saka as another player to start the season off with a goal and assist. So he looks like his old self. I got Liverpool winning this one pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, he set the record, I think, for most open season games in the Premier League. So I think he continues his fine form, definitely producing for fantasy owners out there. But that is it for our week 2 match day predictions. So come back and join us for week 3 next week and enjoy the weekend's games.